I think for the most part, most people would agree that heading into the CDL in 2021, the maps as of right now are definitely top 2 or 3 in terms of concerns on how this game is going to play competitively. Of course, you have things like sliding and the movement and the gun balance, although the guns seem super balanced right now. We can talk about that in a later video, but one of the biggest criticisms that I've seen so far is just the fact that the maps that we've seen, one of them I think is really good. We've went through Moscow. We've talked about it a ton of times. I think that's going to be a classic competitive map. We've talked a little bit about Satellite and how it's not conventional, but it could still possibly be used in terms of certain game modes, most likely the respawn ones. But in this one, Cartel is out, right? We've talked about Cartel before. We are not using Cartel. It's not possible. You can't have the center of a map and the side lanes of a map where if you're standing inside of those 6 foot tall, those weeds, those brushes, that just can't happen, right? You can't have people running through that you can't see. So Cartel in terms of competitive is out, but one that I've been super critical on is the map Miami. When it comes to Miami, the biggest thing that I talked about before, let's bring up the mini map so that I can show you. The biggest reason why I think this is not a competitive map is because, and we've talked about this before, is because of this no man's land right here. Once you get into that center part of the map, there are a gazillion different ways that you can be shot from, right? Think about it. If you're coming from this spawn over here, as soon as you get right here, look at all these lines of sight here. I mean, there's head glitches everywhere. You can be up top in this building on the AC unit here, over in this doorway, over here behind this. I mean, once you get there, you can just be killed from a gazillion different ways. There's no way that you can competitively break down and say, okay, I'm going to go here and I have to look at these 2 lines of sight. That's not how it works on this. But I do think there might be 1 or possibly 2 game modes that actually could work on this map. I don't think it's a terrible search and destroy map. If you think back to like Arklov Peak, I'm not saying that this is super similar, but it's pretty close, right? You had a lane on the left where the A-bomb was. You had the lane on the top side where that open field was. You kind of had a bunch of wide open areas in the middle of the map where those 2 tanks were. So it's kind of comparable to Arklov Peak in that regards. But the thing that I really wanted to talk about today was control, because as soon as as soon as Treyarch opened this up to being able to play control and being able to play hardpoint, my thoughts on this changed a little bit. Now, I don't want to talk about hardpoint too much because I don't think it would work great, but I do think control is pretty good. So you have one team that spawns over here on the right side of the map. The opposite team spawns over here on the left-hand side of the map, and you have 2 control points. Your first control point is right here inside of this garage. And the second one, it's a little bit of a weird location, but it's right here in this open deck area. It's kind of like a platform here, kind of like a deck. So when it comes to this, I actually think that this works out pretty well because you're basically avoiding the middle of the map, right? Sure, you might go through there to try to hit a flank or to try to hit a pinch, but you're not going to be spending a ton of time there. So if you're on offense, you're spawning over here by red, and by far A, or this bottom area over here, this is the easiest one to take. So you can run around the outside. There's a door that cuts through the middle here, or like we talked about pinching before, you can hit this hotel area and get to this top balcony here. When we're talking about going through the middle to pinch, this is an area where you could go through the middle, you could jump over this wall that's right here, and now you can shoot the enemies from behind as they're trying to defend this site. So I do think that there's quite a bit in terms of strategy when it comes to this bomb site. And the other thing about it is that once you get over here, say you get inside this garage area, now all of a sudden that big no man's land that's right in the middle of the map, it doesn't really matter all that much, right? Because once you get inside, you have a line of sight to your left, a line of sight in front of you, and a line of sight to your right. And all of that stuff that's happening mid-map doesn't matter whatsoever. You're inside the control point. You have 3 or possibly 4 different directions to watch. Now you can lock it down. So if you're thinking about how would this map work competitively, I don't think it would work great for hardpoint, where you have to navigate through the middle of the map a ton. But when it comes to control, once you're inside of that bomb site, there's only a couple ways that the enemy can come from, and I think that's pretty good. Now, the same thing, kind of, I don't want to say it's perfect, but this one that we just talked about, I believe that this is the A site on the bottom side of the map. Don't hold me to that. I could have it wrong. This side works really well, but alternative to that, the top side, it's a little bit more open. So first of all, if you're the attackers, you want to try to get this bomb site at the bottom of the map first. Once you get that, now you can work your way up towards the top side of the map. And first of all, it's pretty easy to get there, right? If you wanted to run through mid-map to try to get there, you can do that, but you're probably not going to be successful. So you can go through these apartment areas, go out to the beach. You can also cut through right here. And once you get there, you're basically to that control site. So in terms of getting there, it's pretty easy. Now, the bad part about this is that once you're there, it's pretty hard to capture, right? When you're inside here, I mean, all of this is just open and there's head glitches everywhere. You can be flanked from mid, you can be flanked from behind. I mean, once you're there, first of all, there's a gazillion lines of sight, but second, there's no roof. And the fact that the enemy squad spawns right here, they can basically come up off of spawn and instantly throw nades. They can team throw nades inside of that control site. Now, if you're talking about pros and you're coordinated, of course, there would be trophy systems to take out those nades and whatnot. But this one is just a little bit more difficult to secure than the other one. So if we're talking in terms of control overall, I think the bottom bomb site is perfect. I think it's a really good bomb site. I think that the map plays really well in terms of the bottom bomb site. It's definitely easier for those attackers. When it comes to the top bomb site, I think this is the type of bomb site that makes control not all that great to watch. So we'll see what happens. Again, we've only seen at most four of the maps that they're planning to put out. Now, there have been some speculation that a lot of the maps that they will be releasing will be like Firing Range and Summit, so map remakes. So who knows how many fresh, brand new maps we actually have to choose between. But while I don't think every game mode would work on Miami, I think Control would probably work, and I think Search would probably work also. So those are my thoughts on Miami as a whole. I don't love the map, but it plays pretty well for those game modes that we mentioned. Put down in the comments below, what do you think? Do you like playing Miami? Do you skip it every time? Do you think maybe Cartel would be a possible competitive map? While I don't, I can see, I don't know. I mean, I'm open to taking suggestions. So put it in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much. If you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I put out brand new videos breaking down competitive Call of Duty every single day just like this. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Leave a like. It helps out the channel. Thank you guys. We will see you in tomorrow's upload.